enough.
Good enough.
Now recording.
Alright.
Now recording.
Oh, that's pretty close.
Yeah, right?
Alright, BJ, we're gonna have to kick you off this podcast. You don't bring anything else?
I'm not good enough to do the correct voice.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Manga for Dummies, episode nothing, because, we're not great at planning. So, we're gonna put Naruto on hold yet again. And to be fair, Naruto is pretty long. If we go at this current rate we're going, it's gonna be like a 12 episode series, which is insane.
Yeah, we did that.
You're just doing like the anime, putting some fillers in and making sure.
Oh, exactly. Yes, we're making this thematically correct.
We're stretching 200 episodes into 400.
Exactly.
It's perfect.
One complaint that we may or may not have had is that, we're called Manga for Dummies, but we only had 3 people. So what we did is we scoured the land and found a fourth. So let's welcome our newest member, Mr. Etienne.
Hello, it's me. I'm Etienne.
All right.
And yet we're still 3 people.
Yes, I was right about to get on that. It's also thematically correct that we still can't count and have all 4 here.
My test to get in was to kill the other member, and now that puts us in a bind, of course.
Perfect. Yeah, now we got to recruit another member, and that member is going to kill either me or you one.
It's a vicious cycle.
Wow, you guys are making this transition way too easy. Today's series is about 1v1s. Yes, I mean, if you read the title, you'll know what this is. This is another short. This time we'll be looking at Shuumatsu no Valkyrie. If you've never heard of it, the English name is Record of Ragnarok. So it's actually a not completed series, which is a little different from what we usually do. But we were debating what to do for a short, and I just took the lead and said, we're doing this. You guys don't get a say. Now get down on your knees.
The ball's on this guy. I wanted to say that before you sit on your knees, just to make that clear, because it was not.
You know what? It's too late. You can't save this.
Yeah. Oh well.
All right. Let's get started. Yuan, would you like to go first, or should I? Because you said you did. Well, I think I'll go first because you said you did research about the characters, right?
I did research about the characters.
Go first.
And also the translation history, which is a little funny too. But I'll let you go start us off.
Well, let me give the brief introduction of what this series is, and then you could talk about how it came to be.
Go for it. All
right. So, as Yuan said, the series is called Shuumatsu no Valkyrie, or Record of Ragnarok. It is a series written by. Apologies in advance for how I'm about to butcher these names. It is a series written by Fukui Takumi and Umemura Shinya. And it is illustrated by Aji Chika. So in order, Fukui Takumi is most known, other than this series of course, for his work on Bokuto Akumu to Onisan and Cerberus. I don't know if you guys have heard of either of those.
I've read Cerberus. I usually stay away from stuff that says Onisan. So, yeah.
Good call.
But why?
Oh, it's you know why.
What I want to hear him say.
How Cerberus? I've never heard of it or read it.
I mean, it's fine, but it's not really memorable. Like, I can't tell you what the plot is. I just remember that I have read it.
Okay.
All right.
Mr. Shinya has worked on other series such as the Shinsengumi and Tensho no Ryoma. Haven't heard of those either. Have you guys?
Maybe I read it under a different name, but I don't know what it is.
The other one is Tensho no Ryoma. Ryoma.
No, you had it right the first.
Off the top of my head, no.
No.
Yeah, Ryome, I'm pretty sure is how it is spelled or pronounced.
Okay.
Great. And the illustrator, Aji Chika, I didn't find much about her. She hasn't worked on anything of note until Shuumatsu no Valkyrie. So good for him or her, I guess. The basic plot or synopsis of this story is that every 1,000 years, gods of every pantheon hold a conference to decide the fate of humanity by voting to determine whether or not the human race should continue to exist. With the most recent of these conferences having concluded, the gods have unanimously decided to put humanity to an end. However, the eldest of the Valkyrie sisters intervenes and proposes to let humanity have a say in their fate by letting them go against the gods in a series of one-on-one fights, as Yuan said, to see if they are worthy of continuing to exist. Afraid to let go of their pride and feeling a little like as though they got fucking owned by this woman, the gods accept this proposal. So 13 gods will fight against 13 human champions. They are selected by either side, and the first side to reach 7 victories is declared the winner and can decide humanity's fate. That's the basic synopsis. So we're going to go over everything that's happened so far, but real quick, the series was started publishing May 19th, 2018, and is currently ongoing, like Yuan said. And Yuan, you said you had the story of how this came to be.
Right. So, for the most part, translations of manga from Japanese to English before it has an official release has always been a sort of like a gray area. But I think this is one of the best examples of how literally the amount of exposure that this series got after being translated is like so much different from how I started off. So the story of how this actually got translated is that there's this fan in Japan who read this and is like, I've never seen this online. Like even Japanese people don't always just buy their books, even though they're readily available. Some of them do read online, but he found that nobody's translating this to English. So what he did is he took like his basic English knowledge and translated like the first chapter, put it up online, and literally begged every translation site to please translate this because this is like,
is that what that first
gem.
page was? Is that what that first page was?
Yes.
That was him?
Yeah.
Wait, him being who? Which of the writers?
No. It's just some random Japanese fan.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
So yeah, so this is just one of those stories that translations. Sure, it's like in a gray area, but sometimes it can bring some hidden gems out. Because this would have been like buried somewhere down in like the stacks of other series.
And I'll be honest, so far it's a really good manga.
Dude, it's really good. Surprisingly good.
And it has nothing to do with Aphrodite or things like that. It's purely because of the plot.
The plot.
The plot.
Etienne knows. All right. So we're gonna move into everything that the series has covered so far. But before we do that, we're gonna give you dummies at home. That's what we call them, Etienne. The dummies at home.
Oh, that's adorable.
We're gonna give you dummies at home a few seconds to pause the podcast. Maybe go read it, catch up if you don't want to get spoiled, because we will be spoiling some stuff here. So here are your 3 seconds of silence.
In the title and
God damn!
It was not 3 seconds.
Wait, I need to tell them where to stop.
Oh right.
Yeah, because we're not
where to stop.
Because chapter 30. We're just doing the first 30. Because right now it's in like the middle of a fight, and I don't want to cock tease you that hard. So anyway, back to the silence. Okay, that's
all right. Yes, as Yuan said, we're leaving out the latest stuff to happen in the series, just so that if ever we do come back to this series in a short, we'll be able to talk about it in full instead of just having to talk about half of it. All right, Sue. Before we get into the details here, overall thoughts right now about the series. Etienne, what did you think about the series as a whole so far?
Well, a few different points. First of all, it looks very nice. I think the drawing itself are very, very well done. I haven't seen too much coloring because I'm reading it like normally when they do put it in, it does look good. And if you go and see what the characters look like with color, I think the palette's pretty interesting and pretty cool. The story's interesting, and I feel like the simple tournament-based story of it kind of keeps people on edge. Because, we'll talk about it later, of course, but some of the victories are either like you're not expecting of it and all that, or it gets pretty dangerously one-sided at some point, and you're like, fuck, what's going to happen to humanity? What's going to happen to the gods and all that? And it gets into some side business too, with the different gods that aren't participating in the tournament and all that. Although maybe that comes a bit later than what most people are going to read chapter 30 and all. But so far, I love the characters, I love the story, the combat, and all that. It's pretty interesting. I can't wait to just see more of it once we can.
Yeah, I honestly agree with you 100%. So far, the series has just been a big tournament arc, and as opposed to other tournament arcs, none of the fights have been dull. Sakura versus Ino.
Was that even right? That was a thing.
Yep. And Tamari versus Tenten.
Yo, what do you mean? What do you mean?
Who can forget?
I gotta say, I do love Tenten, but
what is wrong
Sakura
with you?
Ino was...
You fucking hipster.
A little tangent, like right next to that, there's like Gaara and Lee, and then you put like
yeah,
punching each.
Yeah. What about you, Yuan? What did you think?
So I actually, I mean, obviously, okay, the story isn't anything you'll write home about. Nobody's gonna write papers about how great the story is. This is essentially just a gigantic tournament arc. But that said, I really enjoy the fact that they use recognizable characters in our everyday life. Not necessarily everyday life, but characters that we probably heard of either historically or through myths and legends. Part of the fun actually is like sort of seeing his or her, because it's like a team, interpretation of the various gods or even characters. For example, because of for example the Marvel movies, we all have like a vision of what Thor looks like, but this Thor, for example, is completely different. The Zeus is completely different from even traditional classical art and stuff like that, so I think that's really fun.
Yeah. We're gonna talk about Zeus, don't you?
Yeah,
worry.
we will.
My God. Well, honestly, guys, you guys took the words right out of my mouth, because I agree wholeheartedly. Like, the tournament arc aspect of it is really cool. It always keeps you on the edge of your seat. Etienne said some interesting stuff there about stuff happening behind the scenes of the fight, which I agree with completely, because it like makes events outside of the fights themselves important. And we'll talk a little bit about it at some point probably, but it shows there's also like the strategizing from the Valkyries that you see, how different gods seem to have their own agendas in the grand scheme of things, and yeah. So honestly, I think we're all on the same page here, which is great.
Right. Well, we're gonna have to talk about how humans even stand a chance against God, and where the Valkyries and all of it come in.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, we could cover it in the first fight here. We might let the first fight take a bit more time, but that's totally fine.
Things up.
So you guys just want to hop in?
Do you want to just like quickly, sort of rapid fire, just sort of name the people that will be in the fights, because pretty early on they do release like a roster list for both teams.
Yeah.
That is true.
The full roster, or just the ones that we're gonna talk about?
We're just gonna shoot the names, just to get people enticed.
Yeah, we'll do the ones that we're talking about, because I honestly don't remember the other ones. But yeah. So the first fight, on the human side, you have the Chinese. He's Chinese, yeah.
Yes.
The Chinese general called Lu Bu.
Yeah.
He has another name, I'm pretty sure, but like not his nickname. Like, he has an actual name that I can't remember.
No, that's his actual name. The other name that you might have seen in the first or second chapter, when it was just starting the translation process, is the Japanese way of calling him.
Yeah,
I got you. Oh, okay. I got you.
I mean, the easiest way to explain would be like, imagine Superman, but imagine like you had to translate Superman in Japanese, and that's what his name would be.
Yeah. Okay, I got you. And he goes off against Thor, who's fighting for the gods, obviously. Thor, god of lightning, mythology. A lot of people know. Yep. Hey. Yeah, so like I said, I'm going to run down these names, and then we'll go into them one at a time and talk a little bit about the fight themselves, what we thought about it. The second fight that we'll be covering on the human side is Adam from Catholicism, the first boy,
Yeah.
versus Zeus, who is the I mean, kind of the daddy of the gods, but also the killer of his dad,
He's the
in
one in
from
charge
Greek
of.
mythology. Do you guys know a lot about Greek mythology? Because I happen to be
I do.
kind of a big
I
fan.
I've been
Yeah,
a big fan of
yeah.
all kinds of mythology.
I mean, that's the thing because most, like, these are all legends and myths that we all,
Yeah.
maybe dabble a little bit just to learn a little bit, and it's all like super interesting stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The Greek ones, especially, we sort of recognize. The Norse ones, I believe, would probably be the least recognizable in general, but
You mean like
think?
visually in the?
I think it's mainly because Norse mythology isn't a living religion anymore.
That's
Really,
true.
the
I mean, it's easy
other,
I
to recognize
guess.
like Odin. Like he's pretty.
yeah, you're right. I guess
Well, the big names are there, so we recognize the big names
exactly.
basically
Yeah.
But like,
because of things that you
for
said.
example, the
Yeah,
Valkyries are also a Norse
they
concept.
are. Mm-hmm.
So either way, we'll dive into this when we actually go
Yeah,
into the
yeah, yeah.
gods.
All right. Yeah, well, as you dummies at home will see, the first couple of fights, the Greek mythology kind of takes the center stage here, but it moves on later. But for the third fight, we have for the humans, Kojiro Sasaki
Yes,
versus Poseidon.
of Greek. Yes.
And yes, exactly. And for the final fight, we have on the human side Jack the Ripper versus Hercules slash Heracles. The manga kind of throws the two names around a little bit, but I think for the sake of simplicity and convenience, we're gonna call him Hercules,
Yeah, like the Disney movie.
Yeah.
pretty much. So there you have it. That's the lineup we have for today. And I gotta say, no spoilers, but never thought I'd be hype as fuck to see Adam punch Zeus in the face with brass knuckles.
Yes.
Moving on to the first round here, we have Lubu versus Thor. So, first of all, did you guys know who Lubu was before the fight started?
Yes. I mean, like not like very intensely. I knew he was a like terrifying general.
So, as the
but-
resident Chinese man,
Oh,
Yeah.
I think
wow,
I'm
man. Etienne was trying to make a point there.
It's okay, you know.
I'll let you. I'll let you get the Quebecer guy.
No, no,
Oh,
please
God.
humiliate me. Go ahead.
No, I mean you're not wrong. So essentially, before the country that we would come to learn to be called China was actually formed, there actually used to be more nation states that were sort of competing. Actually, one of the people on the human side of the roster, if you check, was called Qin Shi Huang. That's
Okay.
the guy who would actually eventually unify China into one singular nation. But
Oh,
before that actually happens, there's what we call there was like these massive nations, and Lubu ended up being one of the leading generals of that. So obviously the author and the writer and all took liberties with their backgrounds and their stories, and the thing
Yeah.
that you're basing off of originally was just a romanticization of real life anyway. So they're
the
just
Three
like double.
Kingdoms.
It's like you're just squaring the fancy stuff that happened. But he is right. There is a lot of part that are true. He was like a scary general. I'm not so sure about how he said that he just had no competition or anything. That's why he was so bored. In the history books, he's more of a guy who he's really cunning, and he sort of likes to backstab people. Like he joins one army and then leaves it for the enemy army when the time goes bad. So it's hard to say really what kind of person he is. But I think this was an interesting first person. I think most people who read the books, The Romance of the Three Kingdoms, would agree
Yeah.
that he was a good choice in terms of just as a fighter.
What a ballsy
Wow,
move
you
to
won.
claim that
Thanks
you're
for
the
that.
strongest under the heaven too. I gotta say
That was a big
move
that was
right
a
there.
big dick move. That
Yeah.
was indeed a big dick move. It's and sorry, what were you saying? You were trying to say something. I couldn't hear you properly.
When
I think I think you were about to say fuck. You were saying like you had heard his name, but you didn't get to say where from.
I just heard a name like mostly in
Maybe Dynasty Warriors.
Yeah, well, yeah, that one comes to mind, of course, as him being like one of the like strongest character and all that. So it comes from that, but of course, in different like mangas and stuff like that, they do talk about the romance of the Three Kingdom, and his name comes up like pretty often in those discussions. So that's where I heard most of his name and like learned more about him. But of course, you are the, as you said, resident Chinese person would know more about it than I would.
24 years in being Chinese.
Yeah.
That's like a PhD, I think.
It's a full-time job, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
like
first of all, sorry, go ahead, Ethan. What's up?
Yeah, I feel like most people that would, read this that aren't of Chinese culture and origin would probably feel like see him the same way as I do from like, oh yeah, it's that guy that I heard. He's supposedly this huge fucking badass that fucking kicks everyone's shit.
Yeah, no, well, first of all, thank you for the history lesson, Yuan. That was awesome.
Yeah, I love it.
I have to say, I didn't know who he was, but whenever I see, people who are basically based on people in real life, I'm always intrigued to look up, who they were when they were alive and stuff. And I have to say, I was really like, we didn't know anything about this manga, me and Itzen, before Yuan introduced it to us, and I found myself continuously impressed by it. I thought it was really smart of the creators to start with something familiar to both sides of their audience, like Yuan said, because we have Thor, who's who's popular in Western pop culture, like the Avengers, like you said, and all that, and then we have Lubu, who appears in Dynasty Warriors, which isn't as big here, obviously, but people hear of it over in the Asian part of the world, and Chinese people probably learn about him in his history lessons since he's such a prominent figure in Chinese history. So I thought that was super clever and cool of the creators. Yeah, like I just love when they introduce like real life quote unquote characters in a story like this. I just think it's dope.
Makes it interesting, and there's a feeling of if you already know them, you're already invested because you're gonna want to test your knowledge. You're gonna be like, oh yeah, I knew that. Like
100%.
And the coolest part, I think, of the fact that you know these things is that if you know, like, maybe in the books, this character might have a super move. You're like, oh, how is the artist and how is the writer gonna how are they gonna reimagine this super move? So I mean, I want to transition this to Thor, especially we've all watched the Avengers movie and we have an idea of what a sample of what a Thor interpretation could look like. But I mean, this is completely different. He's not blonde. He's I think he's like a redhead. He's skinny-ish, tallish, skinny-ish, and then like his hammer in comparison to like the Avengers version of Mjolnir is like so different that it was actually so fascinating how the
hammer's like 2 times his body in terms of
gigantic.
Like, size. It's gigantic.
Yes.
Plus we learn more about Thor than we would, from our source of, knowledge of Thor, because obviously Marvel Comics isn't the best place to learn about Thor, but like, you learn that he had gauntlets to protect himself from his hammer, and then they put a little cute twist on that, which is nice. Yeah, I also have to say, like, the move was cool also, the throwing of the hammer, but then it comes back and using the inertia, it makes an even stronger, like, reverse attack. But I gotta say, when Mjolnir wakes up and gets veins like a fucking bulging square dick, like that, bro, that shit was so fucking nasty.
Turns around like, are you ready to face the full might of my cock?
Literally though, it was so gross. I was like, you could have. I thought what was gonna happen was Mjolnir was like gonna crack, and we were gonna get like a hammer, but it was the shape of like it was made from the star. Yeah, like a smaller hammer that was made from the star, like in like Marvel Comics or whatever.
That just breaks, and then like
kind of like almost like instead of the gloves being the thing that protected Mjolnir from Thor's strength, it was this outer casing of a giant hammer or something.
True, that would have been interesting.
I mean, that's the perfect thing. Half the fun is when it defies expectations.
That's true.
Very true, yeah.
That's true. And what were you going to say, Etienne?
No, I think I said what I want. Like
Okay.
it's such a cool moment, and of course,
It
like,
is.
it's a very anime moment. Like,
For sure.
you've broken the restraints that allow me to use the full strength of my abilities.
Yeah, that's a quick little warning for you dummies at home. There's a lot of that anime like, oh, I predicted this, but I predicted you predicted that, and now I'm powering up because I'm losing. There's a lot of that.
To
There's
be
a
fair,
lot
this
of that,
doesn't
but it's
that doesn't happen in the first fight though. I
No,
think
the first fight is an all-out fight, to be honest. I mean, at the
yeah.
start, you're
Well,
beating each other, and then being like, looks like you're worthy for me to go all out, and then it
Well,
happens.
I'd kind of count Mjolnir turning into a dick as one of those moments, but it's true that it's not that bad at all. It's not that serious.
But also, Lubu unleashes also secret move, so he does the same. He's holding like the fucking like
That's true.
far
In the
end of his
least
spear.
practical way. Like,
And in a way, they're both using inertia and momentum and like centrifugal force to like really give a fucking huge whap to the other guy.
Yeah. And we haven't really touched on it yet. We might talk a little bit about it later, but the art in this series, like, wow. It's a pretty fucking series. Like, it
It's very
looks
well
good.
done.
and I'm
I've
pretty
never
sure
seen
VJ would
so
appreciate.
many
Oh, go for it.
muscles in one place. I feel like they double the quantity of muscles that the human body has. It's like,
Oh, yeah.
really?
Their muscles
Oh,
have
yeah.
muscles.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was
20
I was
pack?
insecure. I was insecure the whole time reading this. I felt bad about my body.
I don't want to like cut things, but I feel like we need to talk about something, which is how humans are able to fight the gods
Yes.
themselves.
I was gonna say, why don't you go ahead and explain it, Itzen?
Okay, so the name of the manga is Shuumatsu no Valkyrie. So of course the Valkyrie themselves have a pretty big role in all of it. For those who know Norse mythology and all that, the Valkyries are people that guide the dead, I think, to Valhalla.
Yes.
Like the warriors, people that die on the battlefield that are
Mhm.
worthy, they're bringing them back to Valhalla. And so when the humans die, the Valkyrie decided to choose some of them to fight against the gods. Now,
Yeah, they're basically like the spokespeople of humanity right now.
yeah, exactly. And the main character that I would say of the show, Brunhilde,
Mhm.
which is the queen of the Valkyrie.
Mhm.
The eldest. I don't know if there's a queen.
Right,
system.
no, that's true. Sorry, the eldest of the
The
Valkyrie.
quote unquote leader.
Because queen of
Sure.
the Valkyrie, I think, is Frigg or Freya. Not sure.
Possibly.
And so she chooses the warrior, and they do this thing called Voland, where they kind of fuse with the humans that they'll be fighting with to serve as their weapon, as a way for them to be able to make the god bleed. And so every different fighter is assigned a Valkyrie, and together they fuse, and that allows them to have like a special weapon or an ability or something like that to fight the gods, which I think is a pretty fucking cool idea, because it not only puts like it puts some figures that we know about, like Lubu and his spear. It gives him like a
better
very
spear.
like, a spear to fight with like special abilities and all that. Something that can take the brunt of literally like 5-ton hammer of Thor straight up to your jaw.
Yeah. And that's
think-
another thing to mention is that the Valkyrie will turn into the weapon that is most suited to the human champion.
Yes.
And I think there's a deeper, like, we're not about to get philosophical on this fucking short about a manga where gods are fighting humans, but I think there was a cool, like, subtle meaning in there about, the only thing that makes a god special is, the treasure that he finds or something. And when you give anybody that treasure, a god isn't so special anymore. And yet they think of themselves as these higher beings when in actuality, they're just these people that got lucky to find Mjolnir or whatever the fuck
mean,
it is. So I thought that was
Fucking
cool.
Spoiler: some of the gods die, just like some of the humans, because that would be a pretty boring one-sided manga if all the gods would win all the time. So.
Can you imagine? It's just 13 gods, 3-second fights. They just body the shit out of the humans.
Fucking like,
Yeah.
humanities will die now.
Yeah, like they go back to their meeting. So anyway,
Yeah, that was a fun
Their lunch break, yeah. Oh my god. What were you gonna say, Yuan? Sorry.
so I think one of the coolest parts about the fights overall is that we we do get a certain point in the story where the person says, Brunhilde, yeah, she says the only reason, sort of going off what you said, the only reason why the gods are so cool or so strong is that they have what essentially makes up to cheat items, and this is all
Yeah.
just the Valkyries combining themselves
Hacks.
into the equipment is essentially just giving us a fair fight, or else this would just
Mm-hmm.
be really boring. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I think we do want to go back to this fight. So I think regarding the artistic side, I think you might appreciate this most, VJ. The manga is usually actually pretty clean, even during fights. But
Mm-hmm.
especially when Lubu and Thor are like doing their super swing, it gets like incredibly dirty, and just to show
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
warrior's rage or something. I think
Yeah,
that was a really
it well,
good
like
take.
it's just the style. Like the lines get deliberately messy to display like the speed or the power behind the swing or whatever. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I thought it was just like incredibly clever artistic thing. I think maybe
Hmm.
because the fact that they're separating the writing job from the artistic job, the artist can actually like dedicate more time into thinking how she wants to represent what the plot dictates.
Hmm. A
Um,
100%, 100%. Uh, well, so you guys had something else to say to close up this fight because we're spending a little bit of time on it
True.
and
I
we
just
got to
want
get through these. I totally agree with you, Yuan. Just closing thoughts for me here. I totally agree with you. There are so many beautiful panels that you see in this fight specifically, but also throughout the series. Like that one where Itzin was talking about Lubu's special move where he brings down the spear with the tip of it and like quote unquote splits the sky, but you see like the actual clouds
oh
parted
yes,
when
that's
he
really
like
cool.
figured it out, which was just gorgeous. And something else that Itzien said that was really cool, I found was, if you know this person in real life, or you know about them, like you're kind of rewarded when you see shit or figure shit out that they would probably do. And when the horse red hair came
Oh,
out,
dude,
just
I
like
was gonna talk
loyally
about
fight. Dude, literally, when he came out and he was like, "I'll die by your side." Well, he didn't say because it's a fucking horse,
he went
but yeah, 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 exactly. And honestly, I could just see somebody who knows about Lubu seeing that and gets so fucking hype.
the red hair because I think that horse is also like a figure
Yes,
in terms of,
not
It's a real
necessarily a
thing. Yeah, yeah.
legendary horse, but it's up there.
yeah.
It's a famed horse.
He had a
Iconic.
horse. Yeah.
Yes. One last thing I did want to talk about that your point just made me remember is that I actually really like the audience involvement, the way they
Yes.
incorporate either just characters that the character that is fighting had a past with, or even just random people
Mhm.
that may or may not know. Like especially when we get to Jack the
Mhm.
Ripper, because in real life Jack the Ripper is sort of like a mystery. It was really
Yeah.
fun seeing these random English people just just like giving their thoughts on him.
Writers who like affected his life. I was gonna bring it up later, but yeah, I love how
Yeah.
important people from the fighters' lives can be found in the stands when they fight. I love that shit. It was really cool.
I think the one that I found was most important for that was for the third fight for
Poseidon and Sasaki.
Yeah, that
yeah,
was
because
so
it
sick.
brings such an importance to like the fact that these people are talking about him. Oh, we'll get to that when we get there, but we should probably jump into the next fight just to get things
Yes,
going.
of course, of
Just to
course.
end off this, if you're interested in Lubu, go read The Romance of the Three Kingdoms. And if you're interested in Thor, I actually disagree with VJ.
Watch the
No,
Avengers.
no, I actually disagree
No.
with what VJ said earlier. The Marvel comics of Thor are actually quite accurate, but I'm talking not like the recent ones. I'm
Oh,
talking about
really?
like yeah, I'm talking
Yeah,
about
they are.
like the 1970s version of Thor. If you read those, it's
Okay.
actually incredibly close to the actual mythology. If you just
Oh,
want
I
like
didn't know
a
that.
dumbed down version of Norse mythology.
Yeah, I don't have an actual like source for like good Norse mythology. I usually like just read a lot of different
Play
books,
God of
and
War.
websites, and all that to learn about it because Norse mythology has really always been interesting to me.
Yeah, it's
Hmm.
super cool.
So
Yeah,
do
these
that.
all the mythologies are dope. Play
Do that,
God of
Doug.
War and Skyrim.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's it. Yeah, okay.
There you
All right,
go.
let's wait. How about this? The end result was that Lubu lost. I
Yes,
was
yes, we
fine with
can
this.
mention that.
I thought it made sense. The first fight had to show that the gods, weren't a joke, but it
yeah.
also
Like
gave hopes to the humans. So I thought this was a good loss.
Not only
Well,
that, but I think it was
Go
also
ahead.
a good end for Lubu because his whole thing in life was that he couldn't find someone strong enough like to kill him, and so he was so bored that he let himself be captured and fucking killed because it was like, man, this is boring as fuck. And now here he's able to go all out and do this, and he still gets killed, but he goes out with a smile on his face.
Yeah, he went out like having found his rival, having found his match.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with what Yuan said. Like they couldn't make Thor lose because like the whole beginning of the series, he was hyped up as one of the strongest gods. So if the humans had won, I think it would have made the series as a whole a little weaker.
Yeah.
So I think this was excellently done. Anyway,
Next
moving on to round
Next
two.
fight.
Does anyone here want to set the scene?
Daddy, I guess.
Is that me? Am I?
That's literally the title. Both of these fighters are nicknamed Daddy.
So how about you just give the contestants? Let's start with
Yeah,
that.
sure, no problem. So, like I said, on the human side, we have Adam, the original Mans, and we have the daddy of all Greek gods for the god side, Zeus. I'm gonna start this off by saying I don't know if it's a hot take or what, but dude, Zeus is fucking weird, man.
Zeus looks like a fucking yokai demon in his little like man
Dude.
form.
He's gross, man. He is fucking just nasty to see. Like, I'm sorry. He was every time he did some shit, I was like gagging. It was fucking nasty.
So the thing is, though, if you actually know more about Greek mythology, you'll actually find out that Zeus is a pretty fucked up guy. Like,
Oh,
Yeah,
sure.
you
So-
rape. Well, yeah.
yeah, like,
Yeah, he rapes everybody. He got a swan dick too, which is something I learned.
I think
recently.
he's transformed into animals and rape people. I think he transformed to like girls and rape people. I think like
He's done a lot of
he's-
raping.
So in that sense, this is sort of correct.
Oh God, dude.
I think the weirdest part that I
Cheating
had
on
with
his wife,
Zeus
too.
is that in Greek mythology, Poseidon is actually Zeus's older brother.
Yeah.
But in here, Poseidon looks like a goddamn model, dude. But like
That's true.
Zeus is like, what is this?
Poseidon do be a
uh,
snack.
To be honest, didn't in the Titanomachy? I don't know how
Titanomachy,
to.
yeah.
Yeah. The children, all the different gods and all that, they get swallowed by Kronos, which is the god of time, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess.
So they spend time within him while he goes off and tries to find people to fucking and lives a bit of a life before trying and come back to fucking slice his daddy's dick and chop it into pieces and fucking like, you know.
Is that what
Yeah,
happened?
people-
I thought he broke everyone out at the same time.
Well, he did, but so he pulled everyone out, put big rocks to replace them, and then his father was like, "What the fuck is this?" And then he did the whole like murdering his daddy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, thematically, it makes sense, kind of. But I do agree with you that it was kind of strange. Not only that, but they apparently had a fourth older brother that we'll talk about when we get to Poseidon. But
Yeah.
but yeah. So putting that aside, Zeus's disgustingness, and you know what? Sorry, actually, quick tangent before we move on from that. It's pretty appropriate that what they did with Eve here, because you know Eve was basically framed for having eaten that apple in this context when she was actually quote unquote like raped by the serpent. But then the serpent just fucking blamed her for eating the apple, even though the bite mark was so clearly his.
Right, like in actual court evidence, that wouldn't fucking.
Yeah, literally. But yeah. So we're gonna stop talking about rape in a second. But yeah. So I guess you can say it kind of fit the the whole
Disgusting
Zeus
man.
vibe. Yeah. So yeah. It's what did you think of the fight?
Well, I think it was. I mean, not only that, but we can talk also about just Adam in and of its own, coming here looking like Teddy from Persona 4, all ripped and lean.
Like a 15-year-old twink.
Right?
Oh, man.
Honestly, because and then like Zeus shows up and he looks like this frail man that can break like as easy as you like bend a fry from McDonald's in half. and then of course Zeus goes like, well, I guess it's time I fucking power up like Master Rochi from Dragon Ball, and then it becomes like as big as a fucking
literally just
skyscraper and be
fucking
like,
hulks out. Yeah.
yeah. I think the cool thing about the fight was that after the fact that you were like, oh my god, all right, Thor fucking, because Thor took minimal damage in that fight against Lubu. He took damage, which was like, humanity can kill gods,
Can't hurt
but
gods.
in the end, he like fucking like destroyed him. That final hit, like like split him in half and all. And then Zeus comes in, Adam comes in, and you're like, oh my god, right? The gods they're gonna be a hard thing. And Adam absolutely turns things around so fast.
Yo.
It was such a cool thing. So basically, for people who haven't read and are willing to get spoiled here, Adam has what's called the eyes of the Lord, which allows him to replicate any attack, whether it be like a celestial divine attack, all that. He can replicate
It's
that
so
shit.
sick. It's so
And
sick.
not only that, but his eyes are so like amazing and great that he can dodge most of it. So Zeus throws in one of those like haymaker, and Adam goes like, "Whoop, you missed." And he also here's
Like
that
a haymaker that literally stops time, and Adam's like, bitch,
yeah,
let me do it better real quick.
not me. And just like counters that with, of course, his Volan, which is a brass knuckle, which you'd be like, oh, what's gonna be his Volan? Is it gonna be like, a sword or
A leaf for his dick?
Yeah, like a leaf or whatever. And then he turns out this fucking brass knuckle. He's like, I'm about to punch the shit out of you, Zeus.
Oh man,
Very
that was
badass
amazing.
thing, of course.
So I mean, the concept of his power is actually so smart on so many levels, because
know,
it's a
dude.
reimagination of like the line. I'm not sure if there's actually that line in the Bible, because I'm not
There
really
is.
Christian.
Yeah, I know
But it's like,
exactly what you're gonna say, and there is.
God
Go ahead.
created
I've never-
Adam in like his
In his image or
in his
something,
image.
yeah.
It was such a smart
Right.
idea.
So the whole idea behind the eyes of the Lord is that God created Adam to be like a god. So he gave Adam the ability to copy gods with his
Yeah,
eyes.
He's immortal god.
Oh God, it's so fucking good. So, but yeah, so I agree. I agree with both of you, dude. Listen, I was texting you guys as I was reading this.
Yeah, you can
and
say you can say that you busted in one or two.
Oh my god, dude, the fattest of nuts. I was pretty skeptical of what the creators were planning to do with Adam, but holy shit, man. He's honestly, I don't think it's a stretch to say he's one of the best characters so far. Like, and despite his young appearance, I thought it was really like cute how he speaks of all humanity as his children. And there's that one line where like they say like, I thought you hated the gods, why are you even bothering with this shit? And then Adam's like, I gotta take care of my kids. Flex.
No, he's like, does a father need a reason to want to protect his children?
Yeah,
That was
yeah,
so
yeah,
good.
yeah. And like they just built Adam up to be the fucking ultimate badass, no fucks given. Like when Eve was blamed for having eaten the apple and they were threatening to just kick her out of Eden, Adam kicks the door in, walks in with a basket of apples and just starts fucking chomping on him like he didn't give a
fucking
shit.
high, like a whole fucking yeah.
Oh my god, it was so good. So good. And I mean, we took a lot of time on that first fight. So I mean, if you guys have anything to close this one off, all I'm gonna say is, bro, when you get a death like Whitebeard, that's when you know you're fucking epic.
You've done good. Because the whole battle's a battle of attrition at this point, and he's turning shit around. But Zeus is super strong, so of course, it's hard. They mentioned how it's hard on his eyes and all that, and he keeps getting wounded and wounded and wounded. At some point, Zeus finally knocks him out, and then he's like, people are like, oh no, maybe he can keep going, and Zeus goes like, nah, he's been fighting dead for like, a few
while.
minutes.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
And everyone's crying, like, oh my fucking god.
Yeah, that's like literally all of humanity was like, oh my god, daddy, no!
Daddy senpai, no.
Oh, dude.
So unlike Lubu's fight, where I felt okay with the loss, dude, this one I took hard.
This one hurt, man. because you were so fucking sure, and I thought that was such a good move from the creators. Like, like if the fucking strong, like if the only human capable of doing god shit loses, like how the fuck are we gonna win?
Yeah,
you know?
well, it was also hyped as the only man that was able to like full on counter the god. That was his thing. He was able to counter like attacks and recreate them and all that.
Oh man.
Of course, with his loss comes something that we haven't talked about yet: the fact that the Volan is broken and the Valkyrie. Well, the Volan's not broken actually. Yeah, the Volan stayed, and because they share the same like soul and life force, the Valkyrie
when the human champion dies, the Valkyrie dies. Yeah.
Yeah, and that brings me back to Brunhilde, who's she convinced these Valkyrie to fight for her and humanity and all that, and that's a point where they have to give their life for it. And there's this character that I can't remember the name, the little girl that's with Brunhilde.
Gil?
Gear? I think it's
Gear. Yeah, it's Gear.
Gear, which of course is I don't know if she's Valkyrie or not, but she doesn't understand the whole thing.
She is. She's the 13th.
She's a Valkyrie, and so she's angry at this point because Brunhilde is sending people to die, and
but to be fair,
the book makes you acknowledge that these are sacrifices that these people are willing to make, and
exactly,
it is a big deal. It's not just we're gonna send 13 humans, and if they die, blah blah blah. No, it's people that the person who started this whole thing is familiar with. It's their family,
Exactly. Well, yeah. You said it exactly, and like the Valkyrie, like they have a deep love for humans, as Brunhilde says. So they're invested in making the humans win, and like you said, like when the humans die here, they're technically in heaven, so it's their souls fighting. So if they die here, like they're dead for good, and then the Valkyries die with them. So, Yuan, do you wanna just give a little more detail to how the fight wraps up, and then move on to round 3?
Yeah. So I mean, the fight wraps up. There's like a line in the fight while they were like trading blows, where it's like anything can happen. A single speck of blood could change the tide, and then you actually see like a speck of blood hitting Adam's eye, which brings him down because Adam was on the limit. It was like already pushing the limit of his eyes. There were two little scenes that I actually quite appreciated. The one of them was a little cheesy, which was when he does the Volund with his Valkyrie. They do like that Christ and no, not Christ, Adam and like the God portrait. I don't know if you guys ever seen that painting.
Oh, yeah, yo, I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, that was
so
cheesy,
good.
but it was fun. The second one was when Brunhilde was actually like selecting the contestant. She's like, "We'll need to look through the files," and then she like picks up like file 000001.
Yo,
I thought that was really funny too.
Yeah,
that was so fucking funny. So yeah, well, it's like Yuan said. So and it's in actually. So it becomes a battle of attrition because Adam cannot copy the moves forever, and Zeus like basically goes Super Saiyan and contracts his muscles to the point where he becomes this gross fucking Slenderman looking dude, and they basically just punch it out until Adam dies standing.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, sorry, quick little tangent, because this has to do with the other fights as well. I really appreciate that one dude, I can't remember his fucking, I think it's Heimdall. He was just announcing these fights, commentating these fights like a fucking boxing announcer.
Forseti.
Who is it?
Forseti.
That's the god who's doing it?
Yeah.
That shit, yo, that makes the fight so hype, and the introductions are like even better. Oh man, but yeah, that was a little tangent there. So anyway, moving on to round 3 here. The humans are down to...
Oh wait, if you're interested in Zeus, I don't know, read Greek mythology, and if you're interested in Adam, read the Bible.
Watch the Hercules movie. You guys give like accurate fucking sources, and I'll just say some stupid shit. So round 3 we have the greatest loser, Kojiro Sasaki, versus the strongest god, Poseidon. And
I have to say,
yes,
this is my favorite fight so far.
Same.
For real?
That is. Yeah. Oh my god, yes. Are you crazy?
I absolutely love Jack the Ripper.
I'll let you guys gush.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh my god. So that's another character that I wasn't familiar with.
This one I was with,
Completely.
actually.
Huh?
This one I was with specifically because if any of you guys have ever read the manga Vagabond, which is a pretty famous one,
Okay.
the main character of Vagabond is the guy in the stands, where like with the beard and stuff. It's like the famous fight, and then
Musashi.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, the opposing guy is what we is our Sasaki. So I've seen something of him before, so I was a little interested. Hilariously, the manga is on hiatus right now, right after the fight between these two,
Oh
and
wow.
in the manga interpretation, which at the end of the day they're all interpretations of these characters, Sasaki was shown to be, I think, deaf and like a little bit autistic, which
Oh
was an
shit.
interesting take on the character. I don't know which one is the accurate one because at the end of the day they're both interpretations. But yeah, continue.
So yeah, I just love this simple idea of someone that never like especially since all the anime characters that we know are like, no, I must fight beyond, like, I must never lose it, blah blah blah, and like I'm not gonna run away. This guy just runs away like all the time. That's his whole life.
The greatest loser. I
The greatest
love
loser is
that.
such an amazing title because basically his whole thing is that he would like face against someone, and then as he's like, okay, yeah, I'm not gonna win this, goes like, all right, I surrender, and then instead of being killed by like by his honor or his pride and all that, he just like, all right, you win, and he would then move away and learn and learn from those fights and keep learning until at some point he knows that he's gonna win. And sometimes he even goes and it's the other one that are gonna surrender and all that, but he never wins. When he's about to win against someone, he goes like, okay, I have all I need, and he never like finishes the fight.
I actually, first of all, yes, 100%, I agree with you totally. And I kind of want to add, like, join what you and Yuan just said, because that's actually an interesting take on the character, because if he was in some way autistic, and the creators of this series are trying to show that, that's actually really cool, because when he loses against these people, like you said, he gives up and he takes a step back and he learns from his mistakes and he visualizes the fight in his head and he goes over it 1,000 times until he realizes, you know what, this is what I have to do to get strong enough to beat him. So he like observes nature and he practices in his mind or whatever it is, and that could play into the autism, because autistic people are like the people have said that it's like the next step, right? Because people on the scale can be very intelligent, so that could be them like demonstrating his next level intelligence by like observing nature and practicing just in his mind like the best shadow boxing you've ever seen, to the point where it betters himself as a person.
Yeah.
And I thought that was fucking awesome.
Another cool thing
Yeah.
is that whenever the fighters appear themselves, they appear when the humans appear to fight against the god, they appear as they were in their prime, so they are at the best moment of their life to be able to fight against the god. And Kojiro Sasaki died pretty young.
He did.
Still had like black hair and all that, and he shows up as kind of this old man, which means that even after his death, he kept learning and like they talk about him like visualizing the fights that he loses over and over and over 1,000 times, and that's his prime. A part of him that would have lived so long, up to a certain extent, where he's seen so many things, has gained so many like battle experience, that he's able to fight what we're gonna talk about soon, Poseidon.
I think, yeah, of course. Sorry to cut you off there, but yes, you're right, 100%. And I think Musashi even says that to confirm your point there. Like when Kojiro like finally takes his stance against Poseidon and the water just it calms. And then the little kid looks at his dad and all the sword fighters that are there, and they're all like, holy shit, he is the perfect swordsman, right? Later in the fight, Musashi says, like, even as he died, he was going over that fight in his head. And like you said, he just kept doing that and went on, and his spirit lived on to become like the greatest swordsman or whatever. And we can listen, me and you could gush about this shit for like an hour. But all I'm gonna say about this fight is that I think it was by far the most satisfying because it was a big turning point in the story, being the first win for the humans, and I think that just made it so much more hype, especially when the character who we're rooting for is so likable compared to who he's fighting against. Because I thought Poseidon was a cunt. I'm gonna be honest.
pretty much.
So I'm actually gonna sum up most of why I didn't think this was my favorite fight is because
Yeah, go
Poseidon
ahead.
was probably the most bland of all the gods that have appeared so far. I think Thor is the only one that gives him a run for his money because Thor is like too perfect in a sense,
He's, like,
and
basic.
Poseidon is sort of similar. And I mean, his backstory was pretty weak. You know, there's like that story of how there's like a fourth brother, a fourth
Yeah.
sibling, which
Yeah.
you know, if there actually was, and if Poseidon actually was able to like erase his name from the records, you know, he did a pretty good job because I couldn't even find that on Wikipedia.
Yeah. So the sound was like, what
I
the?
think it was real. I think they made it up.
Yeah,
I think they made it
so
up.
I mean that's pretty funny if that's it. But like if you have to, there's like Poseidon by himself is in the Greek mythology. He's actually I don't know. I would consider him like a pretty boring character.
Yeah.
Like
He made horses.
he also had his son is Cyclops, right? And apart from that,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. He's
it's-
like he's the
pretty
Aquaman
boring.
of the
Yeah.
Greek god.
I see your point of view because he was basic, but did you not enjoy Kojiro at all?
I did enjoy Kojiro, but I think the thing is, first, okay, this will sound a little weird, but I think because of the fact that Kojiro was such a well-made character that it was almost wasted on Poseidon.
Oh, okay. I can see
Well,
that.
you know, I'm still not 100% sure which was my favorite fight yet, even after taking some time to think about it, because the Adam one, I think both sides were likable. The Lubu one, you know, so far it's because it's the first one. I gave it more leeway, so I suppose maybe it's just because of that. I didn't criticize it that harshly. And the one that's upcoming, I think, was just like it was the morality was sort of switched in a sense, and I really
Yeah.
liked that play. I'm not going to talk about that just yet, but yeah, this one I felt like it was almost wasted. The character. I really enjoy a lot of the concepts that was brought. You know, me and you, we before we did this, we talked a little bit about like why does Adam look like a little kid? Maybe for Adam, that's him at his peak. That's why he looks
Yeah.
like that. Now that I think
Makes
about it, but like at the same time, it also means that after you die, you can still age, which is a little weird.
Well, it's because they're in heaven, you know, or hell. I don't know how this works because you know Adam's there, so maybe Christianity is a thing. But Kojiro Sasaki died, and then when his soul or spirit was there, his mind kept going after these battles and learning and learning and learning and learning. I think that's a really cool thing, though.
So
I
a lot
think-
of this is good. A lot of this is good. I'm not gonna say, you know, even if I don't think it's my thing was that I don't think this is the best. I'm not saying this is bad. But yeah,
Well, first of all, I want to say, you like Zeus?
I like Zeus. I like Zeus.
In your opinion, doesn't matter.
No, I did like Zeus actually. I think he was like so
Yeah.
eccentric. It was actually fun too. I don't
I
like
don't
him as
hate
a
him either.
person.
He is an entertaining character.
He's twisted.
The way I see it here, you know, I do agree with you. I agree with you that, you know, Poseidon was kind of basic. But it's something I've noticed looking back, and they do it in some of the fights here. Well, they do it in most of the fights here. You know, for Lubu versus Thor, it was the strongest man. Adam versus Zeus, it was the first man / god. And here it's like the best god versus the worst human, quote unquote. And and you know what? I'll actually use this to transition into the next fight here because we're starting to drag a little bit.
Well,
When you
we have to say about how the fight ends.
Yes. So we'll do that, and I'll make my point here, and then we'll do that, and then we'll go to the fight.
Okay.
So the next fight here is Jack the Ripper versus Hercules, and here you have the best god in terms of morality, and the worst human. And I
Yes.
think they play with that a lot in this series, which is why I think that even though, you know, Poseidon was kind of boring and this elitist piece of shit, I thought it worked well in the context of the fight.
Yeah.
I can
I
agree with
think,
that. I would have to switch the way I think, which I mean is pretty hard.
Hey man, it's totally fine. You're entitled to your own shitty
Yeah, so
opinion.
I mean, either way, this is all just super entertaining stuff. I agree. The backstory of Sasaki was super entertaining, especially considering I've read Vagabond and I've seen like that interpretation, which is vastly different from this interpretation. I might add. So it was a fun seeing a different facet, and all of that is actually super fun. Yeah, I mean, this is a good fight. Like we said, I'll let Etienne sort of finish off, explain how the fight ends, and we'll go from there.
yeah. So, of course, the fight is pretty one-sided during the whole time. Like 90% of the fight, it's both of them unmoving, and Sasaki just seeing how he's dying every move that he's gonna make. Because with like battle experience, seeing all of it.
Oh,
Now, which is a very like, because you're reading it and you see it and you see him die, and you're like, what? And then you realize it's only in his mind. You're like, oh, thank God.
I think this is actually super fun, especially right after we just saw Adam, because Adam can like see things that are coming, while this guy can't do that, but he could predict things that are coming.
Yeah, by just analyzing Poseidon, like his movement, the way he stands, and all that. So he's like, fuck, I'm gonna die. And when the fight starts and all that, he goes all out and tries his best and all. And at some point, his Volan breaks. Like Poseidon just breaks the sword that he has in half, and everyone's like, well, fuck. and then there's like this kind of resonance between the Valkyrie and Sasaki. And even in the middle of his fight, he learns, he does the two-sword style that he learned from, I can't remember, Musashi? Yeah.
Oh,
that's his way of winning.
Good.
And it's amazing.
Plus, isn't the style he uses at the end like his own style that he founded, like historically?
Yeah.
I think it's a beautiful
end to this fight. And of course, when he wins, the humanity goes, wow, it's the first win for humanity against the best god, the strongest god, which after seeing both of the previous champion completely defeated, this is a light of hope that's brought to humanity in the form of this, biggest loser. And for him, also with his backstory, I think personally I was very into his story as a whole, and I almost saw it. I saw first a victory for this man, and second a victory for humanity.
Oh my God, that is so well said. Yo, at the end there where he's like, I want to win at least once, and then he fucking cuts him down. Oh, so good.
And it ends, and the crowd's roaring, and he's like, I guess winning for once feels pretty good, huh?
Oh my God,
and
dude.
I was like, that's beautiful. It's
so good.
And of course, Poseidon's like, fuck you. And he dies, good. And that scares the ever-living fuck of the gods. Which, for now we're like, all right, humans are maybe scary a little, and now they've seen one of their own die, and that switches the whole vibe for further on. And I think that's a very good turn point of the manga to this is the first time that shit gets oh fuck for the gods. It
got real for the gods. Yeah. And fuck.
Sasaki survives, his Volan survives. Thank you. I absolutely love all the Valkyries. They look great.
Even the one love the plot. Love the plot.
Love the plot. They are, yes, just the plot. And then, of course, this transition to the gods being like, all right, we need to fucking do something here. And
we gotta send our best fighter kind of shit.
The fourth fight.
Well, after Thor, yeah.
In the aftermath of this fight, I really enjoy how the Greek gods especially got heated. Because it's a Greek, it's Poseidon is a Greek mythology, and pretty much we can sort of think of these as families, and
which they are.
Yeah,
they are all Zeus's kids, aren't they?
No,
well, minus Poseidon and Hades.
Kronos' kid. They're all in the same family tree. Is essentially.
Yeah. That's true. It humanized them a little bit. It was cool.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess we could sort of close off with our last fight.
Quick shout out to Hermes, who came in playing 8 violins by himself to introduce Zeus.
Oh,
Shit was dope.
yes.
All right, moving on to the fourth and final fight for this short quote unquote. Man, our shorts always end up being like 2 hours long, dude.
Sorry, guys.
Fucking
It's
hell.
too interesting.
No, I think it just goes to show how actually compelling the series is.
Yeah.
That's true.
It's simplistic in execution, but it's actually super fun on multiple levels. I guess is what's happening.
It's way deeper than it comes off as, yeah.
And then there's the fact that we're fucking weebs.
Yes.
And we talk a lot,
Yeah.
pretty much. All right,
yeah.
so yes, the final fight here, we have the Greeks who are feeling the loss of their strongest brother slash dad slash son slash sister, and
I guess this was the relationship between Hercules and Poseidon is uncle. I guess uncle nephew.
Yeah. And so it leads to the Greeks wanting to get revenge on the humans, so they send in their best champion, which is Hercules, who goes up against to Jack the Ripper, much to the strategic genius and planning of Brunhilde. And I mean, I like the fight, and it goes back to what I was saying before about like how the dynamic of this fight was really interesting to me, about the best guy versus the worst guy in terms of morality. And honestly, I liked both their abilities, both their fighting styles. That was really cool. Because, that theme is, like, displayed throughout the whole fight. Because, Jack's fighting style is cold and conniving, and he's lying all the time, whereas Hercules is just up front. He's like, I'm going to take this hammer, put a goat on it, and ram you with it.
Yeah. I mean, when earlier you said that sometimes in the series they'll be like, I tricked you into believing, stuff, that joke that we always do. This is it. This is the one fight.
This is that fight. Yeah.
Yes, but I feel like it was very well done.
Yes.
Like the whole, like everyone was like, holy shit. So like, at first, Jack the Ripper pulls out these huge fucking scissors and goes like, "This is my Volan. This can cut
that's
anything.
such a good
Slash something."
Oh man.
It's like, no, this is my Volan. No psych, this is my Volan.
Yeah, he fucking no psyched
my
Hercules like 3 times.
And it ended up, honestly, his Volan was pretty fucking strong.
It was pretty simple. It's just that because he was hiding it so far down the timeline of the fight, it was actually so smart. Actually,
it was big brain. It was big brain as hell.
I think this did have one of the better introductions of the fight so far. I love when Jack the Ripper came out. Everybody in the audience was like, "Is that him?" And he's like,
Yeah.
How could that scoundrel be representing us?"
Yes, and like you had humans voting for Hercules because like everybody hated him. But that's what I'm saying. Like the boxing announcer dude makes it so hype.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
Okay, can I just touch on something? How like you said earlier that people in the crowd, like sometimes there are people that like talked about that wrote about these characters or met them in real life, and they pull out like Arthur Conan Doyle.
Yes.
Like,
and Shakespeare.
Even my Sherlock Holmes was not able to find him, and he looks like fucking hot. And I'm like, that's not what he looks like, is it? And then like next, there's Shakespeare like balding and all. He's like, oh yes. And I'm like, come on, man, you can't do my man Shakespeare dirty like that.
Yeah, the original fuckboy looks like that. Can you imagine? Oh man.
On the other hand, Hercules' backstory that at least this manga provided was probably a little different than what most people have come to know Hercules as, right?
I think it was. I think they took more inspiration from the Roman side of, like, I think they took more inspiration from Heracles' story than they did Hercules.
Yeah, I was about to say that. So if you watch the Disney movie and that's your only source of knowledge, there's some of this is true. Some of this was sort of blended into the original story. But I don't know. I like this. I also like, on the other hand, we had the audience that hated Jack the Ripper. But on the other hand, we also have Ares, the Greek god, who was like, dude, he was like simping over Hercules, and I actually really like that too.
Yeah, they had like
simping on fucking Jack the Ripper to counter.
What?
You had Loki simping on Jack the
Loki's
Ripper
like,
to
oh,
counter.
he's pretty good.
Yeah, Loki's like, damn, this motherfucker's smart as shit.
But
I should bring him
that
with
was
the team.
very interesting because it was the first time that humanity was almost like rooting for a god to win at this point. And like it's a mutual love. And Heracles, despite him fighting for the god, mentions many times throughout the fight that he loves humanity.
It's like, I'll win this and I'll beg the gods to let humanity go or
Yeah,
some
yeah,
shit.
yeah. He
Right,
like
that was the
disagrees
thing.
with the gods.
Yeah, he wanted to the Dragon Ball Super End tournament thing.
Oh god.
And,
Oh
and
god.
I think both villains in this fight are pretty cool.
They're fucking.
Well, not both
they're
villain, but
dope.
the ability of Heracles to call upon his
His 12 labors, yeah.
yeah. So each of his labors gave him one ability, and the cool the thing that never was in any book, the tattoo that Heracles has.
Oh, yeah,
is
that's so smart.
Is that a real thing? Is that
No.
a real
No,
thing?
it isn't.
Okay, I thought it was cool too, though. Yeah.
It is cool. It's like it's this. So they didn't want to do like a battle of attrition again because that was looking pretty much like that. And then they put Heracles on this time limit using the tattoos that would drain him of his life form, or it's like kind of a curse mark. If it covers his whole body, then he
Yeah.
dies. And
Yeah.
during the fight, he uses a lot of it because he wants to win and all that. And he gets pretty fucking close, I'll be honest. But I feel like Jack the Ripper during the whole fight was always like one step ahead on anything. Like like faking falling and impaling himself, but doing only that to use the thing he impaled himself on to fight Heracles later, like hiding it and all that. And through all that, we have the backstory of Heracles. Wanted to save humanity and almost was willing to die, drinking ambrosia, and saving that. And we have Jack the Ripper, whose backstory is more like all that, his seeing the colors of people. There's a lot of thing with eyes apparently in this manga, like seeing in the future,
Oh my God.
countering and
Is
all that.
Jack the Ripper gonna get a Sharingan?
But seeing the color of emotion of people, which once again works very well for like a fighting style. You see like the anger come in and all that. It's very
Yeah. You know what? Going off of what Etienne said, Yuan, he is right. Like, we're clowning on it a little bit, the fight, and the fact that Jack the Ripper was like, oh, I knew you'd do that. But in terms of, like, as far as anime goes, it was pretty tame. Like, he took, like, even though he like, quote-unquote, fell victim to that trope, like, his shit was deserved. Like, he took a risk by impaling himself on the fence, and just so that he can have a weapon. Like, it all made sense. I don't think it was ridiculous. Me and you want to memed it so hard at this point that we just have to call it out.
Yeah. I really, to go back to the dynamic of this fight, I really love the fact that they put Hercules up because honestly, okay, first of all, there's two things. I'll start with this one. Hercules is probably the only one that would have consistently keep falling for Jack the Ripper shit and like keep accepting it because like at a certain point I'm pretty sure he goes like, you know what, I won't even bother dodging or some shit, like just come here.
Like, fuck it.
On the other hand, one thing that this fight made me realize that I should have probably realized on the previous fight is that there really is no rules to this fucking tournament. Like, why is all of a sudden the setting set in London? Why was the last fight the setting like have water everywhere for Poseidon? Like, did they coin flip for this? And like, why in the first two rounds like there was nothing special?
Hype you on.
So it's like there was no rules to this tournament. Now that I think about it, but
I think it's just that like the different champions made requests. Because that's the thing for Jack the Ripper. They said that Jack like asked for the setting to be London, and Hercules was like, "Yeah, fuck it."
Yeah, but do you
I
think
guess
Poseidon was like, "Yeah, give me the water, because without the water, I can't do anything."
Yeah, they were too scared to tell him no, so they were like, "Yeah, okay, we'll put
I
water."
feel like the water was a cool thing because, Poseidon didn't actually play with the water. It was Sasaki that when the thing like zoom, and then like the lull of the water.
Yeah, I think it was more for
It's kind of
aesthetic.
thematic because water, water adapts and all
Yeah,
that.
but like
So I
let's
feel like
let's
it
say
was very
you were
thematic.
Sasaki and you were going out with Poseidon. You're like, you know what? How about no water?
Yeah, he fucking died drowning, didn't
Yeah,
he?
like, what the fuck is this?
That's true. Yo, I so thought that when he flashed back to like that story of him throwing his sheath in the water, I thought like his sheath was gonna come back somehow and they were gonna do some shit with that. I'd have been like, yo, that would have been sick.
Cool.
I'm still happy with what we got. It's the best fight. You want fuck you.
You know what? I know why you guys liked it the most. Because you guys are fucking losers. No, I'm kidding.
I mean, you're not wrong.
How about this? Did you guys like Jack the Ripper's backstory?
Yes, and I have something to say about all the backstories about the humans, but I'll save it for our closing thoughts because we're starting to. This shit's getting long. So yeah, exactly. So Yuan, why don't you close the fight off? Tell us how it ends, and then we could say our final thoughts about the series.
Well, could I just?
Oh yeah, go ahead. It's sorry.
Yeah, we touched about this, but Heracles was the best of the gods, and Jack the Ripper was made to be like the worst of humanity.
Mm-hmm.
Like Jack the Ripper is an asshole, of course, and he killed like a lot of people,
5 women,
and prostitutes. Which I mean, it's killing a prostitute is not better than killing someone, of course. Like a fucking like a bank counselor, but. Like I feel like Jack the Ripper was like, oh yeah, he's a serial killer, did a few murders. I feel like he's not the worst of humanity.
Yeah, I could. Our German friend isn't here, so I think I can imagine at least one person that's worse than him.
Yeah, but they wanted to make him the worst of humanity, and of course it works perfectly. His backstory didn't make me feel like he was like an asshole. Like he murdered people, but in his mind it was not like I want to murder people because fuck the world. He was like, I just want to see that one color that my mother
sweet release.
I think his whole thing is that he was the first serial killer. I think that's why people call him the worst human.
Okay, obviously, I don't think the first serial killer happened in London.
First recorded serial killer. The first recorded serial killer.
Yeah, I guess that would be it.
But yeah, I agree with you guys. When a series makes you sympathize with Jack the fucking Ripper, I think that's when you know that you've got some gold on your hands.
Yeah.
A few panels that I really enjoyed in this fight. When he does like that Joker face.
Yes.
That was good. The second one was when it's a really relatively smaller one, but it's like we see that prostitute that he grew up with. That's not his mother. That's like taking a sip or something. It's like you guys like can't say anything about him if you're not gonna go up and fight or some shit like that.
Yeah,
I thought that was good addition.
He still had some people rooting for him. I think my favorite panel is gonna be like very like cheesy and all that. It's when Heracles accepts that he dies and puts his hand, hugs him, and he's like. And he says the thing, he says, and yet, in spite of all that,
I love you
I love humanity.
Yeah, that was really good. Well, there you go, and that plays to the theme of the fight, just the best of the best versus the worst of the worst in terms of morality. I think my favorite panel was when he called Cerberus down and he turned Cerberus into his fucking armor. Because Jesus Christ, that was amazing. Ironically, Jesus Christ is not in this series, as far as we know.
Oh, you guys have to tell me, is Jesus Christ a god?
No, but yes. He's like a demigod, technically.
Yeah, because he's born of Mary.
Yeah, so he's a demigod, technically.
He's already dead, so...
So wouldn't he be closer to the Valkyries?
Yeah, he'd be one of the Valkyries.
Well, Heracles is not technically a god either. He's a demigod.
No, he is.
No, at the end of his story, he becomes a full god.
Yeah, bitch, this ain't the fucking Disney movie. He becomes a god at the end of his story. Yeah. He attains godhood after his 12 labors.
Right, when he dies. True. Okay.
Pretty much.
All right. So how about this?
So yeah, you want to wrap the fight up, and we'll give our closing thoughts.
At the end, after a series of schemes, Jack the Ripper impales himself, but actually hides the thing that impales him within his coat or some shit. And he goes up and goes ahead to stab Hercules. From what I sort of felt from the panel, it almost felt like Hercules didn't fight at 100%. I don't know if you guys felt that.
I did.
So at the end of the day, I think that he almost let Jack the Ripper win.
I can see that.
And then he sort of gives him a hug. It's like, well, good luck next round or some shit. So yeah, at the end of the day, Jack the Ripper does end up knocking off another W for the boys.
Hey, how does he kill him again?
He's basically
exhausted.
Oh yeah, he fucking Kalimas him with his fucking hands. Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. And you know what? That was so cool too. That like Hercules still got his little moment. Like I feel like he still won in his heart because he kind of brought some humanity back to Jack, kind of.
Yeah, because he showed him the color, but it wasn't. It was a
It
different.
was like it was his mom's first color, like the color that he fell in love with or whatever.
Yeah,
Like not the one that he gets when he murders people, like the first one. Yeah.
Also, his Volan is the Volan of Jack is gloves that allow him that everything that he touches is able to become like a weapon that can kill the gods.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
OP
Very
as fuck.
And his Volan like his ritual is very fucky because he basically
Like forces the girl, yeah.
he forces the Valkyrie to become his Volan, and she doesn't.
Yeah, how very appropriate.
Yeah.
But then she comes out at the end of the fight and she's all tsundere about him. It's
Bloody.
like
She's like fucking bloody. She's like, what the fuck?
yeah, but she's like not super mad about it. She's like, we'll do better next time. It's like,
I didn't do it for you. And she shut the fuck up.
It's like Baka. Like,
Back at
Anyway.
back the Ripper.
yeah.
Um,
And so the series continues a little bit afterwards with the fifth fight, but the fight's not finished yet. So we'll save that for another possible short. So wrapping up that fight, closing thoughts. Do you have any final thoughts? Closing thoughts
About the fight or about the whole?
about the series?
the first 30.
The series of the whole. Well, closing thought so far, I'm really fucking hyped about what's gonna happen. I know what's coming next. Spoiler: there's Buddha somewhere. He's dressed like a hipster, and I love it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like I feel like with all the names that we have on the list, I'm very excited to see all 13 fights because I feel like it's gonna happen. There's not gonna be like, all right, well, because it's a like first at 7, right?
Yeah, it's a best
First
of
to
13.
7,
So
but
up
you know,
first
it's a
to 7.
tournament arc, so it's gonna come down to 6-6 probably.
Every time.
Yeah.
Unless they just pull the rug out from under us. They're
And-
breaking all the tropes.
Like I've read up to date at this point. We're only talking about the first 4 fights, and I'm gonna go back to that list and I'm gonna look up these people. I'm gonna look like every one of the gods, every one of the humans that are gonna fight, and that's just gonna make me more hyped.
There's a few good ones. You know, I came up to date before you guys even started reading, so I did exactly what you did, and there's a few cool characters.
Can't wait to
Damn.
fucking see Rasputin, how he's gonna fight.
Yes,
Yeah.
my personal hype is Tesla. I can't wait to see fucking Nikola Tesla. See what he does. That
Bro,
would
imagine
be,
if he drives in with a Tesla.
that'd be fun. His Volan is a car. It's just-
The guy's like, so where is he? And then just runs him over, like, all right, this was my Volan, and yeah.
oh
right.
man.
It keeps me,
You on?
like, those-
Oh,
I feel
yeah.
like there's a twist every time. Like there's a very anime like, well, now this is my full power, or this kind of. But what I'm happy is there's no like fucking like the power of friendship. Like it's not friendship. It's like battle experience. It's either that or like there's some people in the crowd, but they're not like no one's like I'm gonna win this for them. It's like all right, well humanity's fucked, but most of the people are fighting for themselves. And of course you can't like put Adam in that basket that's like, oh my friends, because he's like, his whole fucking seed created humanity.
Yes, his seed. Yes.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. Like, it's earned. Like, everything that they do isn't just pulled out of someone's ass.
Yeah.
Like, fucking Susano.
Like,
Oh,
my
man.
Speaking
Anyway.
of, have you seen the list? Susano is on the list.
Yeah, he is on the list. It's true.
Oh man, it's gonna be spook.
All right. Well, thank you
so
for that. It's,
for me, being the one who recommended that we did this, I think
Yes.
it's safe to
Well
say
done.
that I did a good job.
yes, slow clap. Well done.
Thank you.
So I've been following this since the first chapter was translated, and I have to say I have to thank the guy who took the first initiative and who forced.
Big shout out to him.
Big shout outs to whoever it is.
Do we have a name?
No, and I think it's technically illegal, so I don't think he wants his name out there anyway.
Oh, yeah. We're going to dox him. Yeah.
If he ever wants to DM us, I'll
Yeah.
send him a basket of
We'll put you as a guest. We don't speak Japanese. I don't know if you speak English, but we'll make it work.
Yeah.
So I think this is just a really fun. It's like it's almost a parody in the sense that you want to see how the artists and how the writers write these characters. So especially since for example, Etienne said this. Buddha comes out as this funky looking dude, and as a Buddhist myself, I really love the interpretation of that. I think you really have to take all of these with a grain of salt, some fun. As long as you do that, this is an incredibly fun series. I can't wait to see where this goes. And because the premise and the plot is both so stupid on some level, like even if the plot goes bad, I don't think I'll feel bad about it.
Yeah, it's a popcorn flick through and through, and it's not afraid to be a popcorn. It's kind of like High School of the Dead in a way.
Yes. Yes,
It's just unabashedly like it's good for what it is, and it's really good for what it is in this case.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna let the other person try and finish up.
Well, yeah, I was just gonna the other person. I was just gonna say, you guys have said it, like you hit the nail on the head. I think this is one of the most solid stories so far, because tournament arcs are always a winner, even if they're not that great. But like this one has been consistently really good. You once said it, like some characters are parodied for the better. It's really funny. There are just a lot of highs here. We've been giving a lot of praise to this series, and I gotta say, there's one negative thing that I found reading through is that I didn't necessarily like the portrayal of all the gods as much as I did, say, the humans. Like Zeus, I just thought, like, despite the fact that he's an entertaining character, just the way he fought, like, grossed me out. It was just weird. Like I said, Poseidon was this elitist fucking, like, weird-ass dude, and as a fan of the Percy Jackson books, they did my boy dirty, okay? Wasn't a fan of that. Yeah, like I think the only god I've liked so far who's fought anyway has been Hercules. There are other ones that I find interesting, but we haven't really seen much of them.
True. And Thor looks like very different from what the Norse mythos like makes him to be.
Yeah, and it's not like a bad thing. It's just he came across as basic because we didn't really learn much about him. I feel because everybody knows Thor, quote unquote.
Oh, there's a bunch of giant, and then the giants are dead.
It's like Attack on Titan, but like the Titans are scared of
the
person.
Yeah, he's Levi and he's a Super Saiyan.
Yeah.
And one last thought I have to add to this story, just to finish on a high note, is that I really like how they gave the human backstories those subtle twists. We talked about some of them. I especially like Jack the Ripper, who came across as a gentleman at the beginning of the fight, which isn't entirely historically accurate if you look at his story, because he was kind of like a messy serial killer. He would like chop the bodies up, all that shit. But when his power is unveiled and you see like that manic side take over, I don't know, it's really cool to see, because they're like, okay, so like they kind of twisted it in a way, but they brought it back to its core, like to the core of the character, because he is at his core like a psycho.
Yeah.
And I thought that was super cool.
At the start of that fight, people are like, really, Jack the Ripper? And at the end they boo him, like they throw
exactly.
His way for humanity.
Exactly, but even there at the end, like he like kind of redeems him, or Hercules kind of redeems him.
Bows down and like little like salute.
Yeah, it's cool. Like there was that point that's that point in the story for Lubu where like they say he was begging for his life when he died, but his screams were just yawns of boredom, like shit like that. Like I thought that was really cool, and it just like made the characters better. And dummies at home, if you haven't seen it yet, strongly recommend. Please check it out. It's really good. Do watch.
Yeah.
Are we giving a rating for this, Yuan?
Yeah, is it like on a scale from like Sakura to...
I guess we could say so far, yeah. From Sakura. Yeah, we usually do a scale of 50.
50? Okay.
I like how you just accepted that like that's normal.
I mean,
there's a lot of
I'm the new guy. I'm not gonna be like 50. You guys are fucking idiots, and then no one will ever hear from me again.
You know what? And to be fair, I thought the same thing, but it makes sense. There's a lot of manga we got to go through, so there's niches there, there's nuance.
Yeah.
I mean, well, it's in. What do you think out of 50? What do you give it so far?
Out of 50, I would give it a 41.
41.
I think, yeah, the art is, first of all, the art is very good. And despite you thinking that some of it is gross, I think that it's
Always
still well
Zeus.
done.
Only Zeus.
The fact that Zeus is gross, I think it's still very well done in the fact that if it's able to transmit this emotion into you, and that's probably what the artist intended.
Of course, I'm not saying the art's bad ever. I'm
No,
saying
I
Zeus
know.
is disgusting. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but there's merit into being able to make someone feel like grossed out by art, like fucking Junji Ito. Like whenever I look at it, I there's dread above my head, and that's a good make of what he wants to do. And I
100%.
think that's a good point to put in. So the art's very nice. The story's like interesting. I do love a good like fucking fight here and then. So this is basically an art tournament, which most of the time is the apex of some mangas, like, right. But that's the whole manga. And despite that, there's some good story on the side with gods that aren't in the fight. They're able to make characters that are not part of the like overarching like story, like the big action thing. They make them interesting. Loki, Hermes, Buddha, and some of the lesser gods, Ares. Too, all that, Odin, and all of that. I'm sometimes more intrigued into what's gonna play out between the rounds of the fight and all that than the fight itself. But every time you watch the fight, it's just a pure joy seeing all that. And I'm a big fan of mythology, so this hits pretty close to home in terms of my passions and all that. So I gotta say,
you only give it a 41? Damn, bro.
I mean, there's still like something like there's the liberties and all, and also this is the first time I'm fucking rating something. What if I give it like 49 and you guys are like, oh yeah.
Well, then what would you give Full Metal Alchemist then? Just out of curiosity. Yeah.
Well, like I give it 45.
Hey, that's what I gave it, I think. I can't remember.
Yeah.
What about you, Yuan?
That's my score. 41, it has some good thing. The reason I'm not giving it like higher than that a full mark is I mean, I can't really blame it on them, but it's not over. And I want to see how further it goes. And I feel like there were, of course, still something like, Poseidon backstory was basically like, I'm the best, and nothing can kill me. And then he gets killed, and he's like, what the fuck?
Points
fuck Zeus.
have been deducted. Points have been deducted for possible hiatus. Nice.
No, but there's still like some characters that I don't like
for sure
fully like and all that, and there's still of course some like high-ish like this is my true power, which I feel are very cliches of some things. I do like, it's gonna sound weird, but I do like weak character that through hard work more than like the power of friendship.
Yeah. You like the underdog, bro.
Exactly.
Yeah, bro, I've said that so many times on this fucking podcast.
Sasaki was pretty much my favorite in this whole thing.
All right, so 41 out of 50. What about you, Yuan?
So I think it's important for me to give 2 scores for it. So strictly as a series, no, we can't. I can.
Yuan makes up the rules.
Just like this tournament, there is no rules.
Just like the fucking tournament, yeah.
So
spaghetti out of 22 for me.
Spaghetti out of pizza.
Anyway.
So yeah, I think there's 2 scores. Strictly as a series, I think this is a 40. You're not gonna remember this down the road, like 10 years down, for its story. Its story, like I said, it's pretty stupid. The premise is pretty stupid. The characters are, pretty stupid. But if you ignore that,
the word you're looking for, I don't think, because stupid implies that it's dumb. It's not. Yeah. Okay. You know what? Keep going with your point.
However, I think as like the term you used earlier, as a popcorn flicks, this is like a 48. I was completely satisfied. I did not expect anything going in, and I was super happy with what came out of it. The action is on point. The fan service is on point.
The plot.
The plot is
yeah.
perfect if you're drunk.
Yeah, I feel
If
like
this
is
ever gets an
definitely-
anime, all I need is pretty colors.
Oh, dude, it would be so good as an anime.
Yeah, and I mean
Yeah.
that's it. How about you, VJ?
You know what? That's I went into it with zero expectations, so I read it the whole way through as a popcorn flick. Because as soon as I saw the premise, I was like, wow, this is fucking ridiculous. And then I saw the list of fighters, I was like, oh wow, this is fucking ridiculous. So like my expectations weren't low. I just didn't have any. So yeah, like reading through, out of 50, I think I'd be tempted to give it like a 47 or something, just because like the expectations were so non-existent, and having read it in the mindset that I read it through, it was just so fucking enjoyable. Like compared to a series like Full Metal Alchemist, I gave it a 45, but that's like a very solid series. Like everything was thought out, and the expectations are high going into a series like that because everybody and their fucking mother has told you about it. So in the context of I had no expectations going in, and my brain, I was reading it on the way to work in the morning, so like my brain was turned off. I was just enjoying it. I'd give it like I'd say maybe a 46.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, one last question just for my part, because I had to wait weeks, and the worst part about being caught up is that you have to now wait.
Boy.
In terms of amount of time, how quickly did you guys read through these?
2 days. When I started, 2 days.
3 hours.
And you gave it a 41?
Well, the thing is that, like, okay, the 41 is because I've just read better. I've seen other anime, I've seen
Yes.
other mangas that have made me feel more things. I'm hyped, of course,
That's true.
but I didn't get to those part where I would like. Okay, so as a comparison, like let me like rate a fight in the whole series. Like Night Guy in Naruto, or like Lee's fight versus Gaara. Like that was like top of the list for me. That was all the emotions,
Yeah.
and of course it has like these kind of like this is my true power, but it don't say that. They put it in a very nice situation. So yeah, I've read better. It's still very good, but I didn't get those moments where I could feel like something in the back of my throat, like oh my god, and all that. Like it was very cool, but not to the extent.
I get that.
So-
Yeah, well, going off of Yuan's rule inventing, if I were to rate it on the same system as, let's say, Full Metal, I think I'd give it maybe like a 40, 41 like you guys. That's for sure.
It's still very good, and I do.
It's still
like,
enjoyable, yeah, of course.
fully to anyone. Like, do you have like right now like 3 hours? Well, depending on your reading speed, I read pretty fucking fast.
If you have 3 hours or a metro ride to kill, put it on.
Okay.
You will not regret it.
But
Yeah.
don't go too long on the metro, or else you might go through the whole thing and
Yeah.
miss your stop.
3 hours on the metro. If you have 3 hours on the metro to spend,
I feel like when this series is gonna be over and all that, it'll be a really good read. Like I would read books, and at the end I might not necessarily read it again, but I'll be glad I did.
yeah, I
Yes.
think it'll depend on where it goes. They'll have to find ways to keep the fights interesting, because already after 5, it's not that it's getting worse, it's just that like there's only so many holy shit he powered up moments you can handle, and it's not that like I said, it's not that it's getting bad or anything, it's just getting, I guess stale would be the best word, but even stale is too strong of a word.
I feel like they've done so far a lot of like they're all like fight to the death, hand to hand, but Jack the Ripper was a very fresh breath of fresh air in those fights, where it's not just people like the throwing hands at each other. It's like there was some thoughts to it.
Yeah.
And of course, in the human contenders, like the Rasputin, who's not gonna be like a muscular man. It's Rasputin.
You don't know that.
Well, okay.
Fucking Adam was ripped as shit.
Yeah, but he was lean. He still had the little body,
That's
And
true.
Adam, to be honest, was a guy that had to, live and all that. Anyway, you know what Rasputin looks like. He looks like a fucking like nightmare fuel.
Yeah.
Like somebody you don't want following your daughter.
Oh, God.
Exactly. I mean, I don't want anybody following my daughter.
You have a daughter?
Not anymore since the
Oh
incident.
man, yeah.
But
Oh my
yeah,
God.
I feel like they will, or hopefully. I mean, I can't predict that.
Yeah, I
But
hope so too.
something that's not just like a ring fight, you know.
There you go. So all in all, dummies at home, turn your brain off and you will have a great time.
This is better than crack. All right, so I think this is gonna bring
Science.
us to an end. This may have been the longest short you've ever seen.
What color?
Yeah, we're really good at shorts, dude. We're really good at
Yeah,
shorts.
yeah, they keep getting better and better.
It's a medium now.
All
Not a
right.
short.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a long now.
It's
This
just
is as long as one of our episodes.
This is actually
our
longer
main
than
episode.
like half of our main episodes.
Well, thank you guys for having me on for tonight's.
Yeah, man. Listen, it was it was an experience. Yuani's not coming back.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So we get to keep
Nah.
a check.
Dummies at home, get used to it. It ends here to stay. Thanks for joining. It was a
I
great
didn't
time.
want to. I'm kidding.
No,
All
bro.
right, I guess
Yeah.
this is a sign off time.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
all from
we're getting
me.
out of hand.
Thank you for every dummies at home. Everyone.
You want to sign us off?
Yeah.
Well, VJ, I can see our viewer count going down about a minute.
All right. Let's leave. Fuck that.
All right, have a nice one, boys.
See ya.
We'll be back next time with hopefully Naruto. I guess Naruto. It's getting into that place. So part of me really just wants to burn through it.
It's been at that place, bro. All right. Signing off.
Bye,
All right,
everybody.
good.